Hey guys, and welcome to another replay analysis. Oh my god, today we got a Protoss versus Zerg. It's been a few days since I feel like we've done one of these, because I've been a WoW addict for the last part of this week. Just to catch you guys up, anyone who's like, ViBE, I don't really get a chance to watch your stream, but I watch your YouTube videos. So for the last week of my life, I've been doing about 18-hour sessions of gaming repeatedly, and streaming most of them up until yesterday. Or pretty much yesterday and the day before. And anyways, my eye got to a point where it almost fell out of my head. It got really fucked up. Like excessive eye strain. And yeah, but I got lots of item levels, and wow, my characters are strong. I would say I am in like the top probably like 3% on WoW in terms of eye level on your gear. My rogue is, I think, at like 178 right now or something like that. He's pretty fucking high. So, I'm strong. Worth it. Exactly. But, yo, guys. Now, so it's been a little bit since I did it. I think the last replay analysis we did was the Serral versus Raynor game, which was like a week ago. But now, we're doing a PvZ Diamond level with our boy, the police. So, without further ado, let's fucking do it. Let's do this. So anyone who doesn't know what replay analysis is, it's a, you know, it's basically just me helping the person that I'm observing, which is the police today. What can he do to get better at StarCraft 2, essentially? So first things first, correct. Everything you've done so far is correct. I agree with you. Pylon placement is, honestly, not bad. It's fine. Your pylon's fine. It looks fine. Okay, gateway scouting. I like it a lot. You're chrono boosting the Nexus as soon as your gateway has been built. I like it. I like it. You're building the gas. I like it. Yeah, good shit. That's fine. Your gas. I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't need to say it, but I'm gonna pause it and say it anyways. Okay, your probe sat there for about 2 seconds, and then you built the gas. You know, not a big deal, but I would say just in general, your gas is probably now like 8 gas behind, or like anywhere between 4 to 8 gas behind. And you really think about 4 to 8 gas, it's not that big of a deal, so we're not gonna even talk about it. So just want you to know, we'll just bypass this, but. It's a little bit behind. That's not that big of a deal. No, I get it. You had the right idea, so it's fine. You should be rallying the Nexus definitely to the natural now. As long as you do it before this probe finishes. Okay, good job. Good shit. Good shit. Okay, you're scouting his base. This looks very standard, and I'll tell you why. Okay? Oh, God. He's attacking your probe. Hopefully your probe doesn't die. Now, here's why this is super standard. You have a pool just starting. You have a gas that is almost like halfway. And you have a hatchery that was almost halfway when you crossed it. Now, the hatchery build time is the longest thing here. The pool is the second longest thing here. And the gas is the fastest building here. So, and we can tell by the pacing of how this all went, he definitely went hatchery first, and then he took a gas, and then he took a pool. So, essentially, super standard build, nothing too crazy. You can look at this and go, oh, cool. I don't have to worry about getting rushed really early by some super fast, slow lings and like a proxy hatch, or some bullshit like that. Like, you're totally fine. Even if this probe dies, you're fine. And we'll go further into like what goes on. But as of right now, this build looks incredibly standard. It could still become a lot of things, but it looks very standard. And that was amazing that you didn't lose the probe and you made him pull off his. I want you to know something. If you're ever playing StarCraft, don't ever be the guy that does what the Zerg just did. Don't ever do that. Do not ever do that. Here's why. This Zerg player, like, watch this, okay? I want you guys to understand this. It's actually something everybody does, and it's really not everybody, but a lot of players think this is a good idea, and it's such a bad idea. So right now you have 16 drones mining minerals. You have 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. So you got some drones on stacked up on 3s, and you got some drones on 1s. So not the best splitting by the Zerg either. So it's already being a little inefficient, okay? It's already being a little inefficient, but watch this. Are you ready? The second he pulls his drones, right? And now this one is actually, it just fixed itself. So now it's 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 2. Because this drone counts with this one. They're both mining the same patch. So he's got 8 patches. 6 of them are perfect. 2 of them are a little fucked up because he's got 1 with 3 and 1 with 1. But pretty much all of his close patches are perfect. It's just 2 of his far patches are fucked up. So overall, pretty good saturation by the Zerg here. But look at this, okay? At 118, he pulls drones. Okay? 118, he pulls drones. And he pulls 15 drones. All except for 1 drone. He pulls 15 drones at 118 to attack the probe. 119. 120. And then at 121, he finally clicks on the mineral patch. And now he's finally mining minerals. Now, the reason why this is not worth it to do it like it's still worth it to kill a probe, but it's not worth it to go like this. Green box everything and A move. Don't ever do that. That's a fucking panic reaction to be like, kill the probe. And here's what just happened. In those 3 seconds that just got wasted, automatically, this Zerg has already lost 45 minerals of mining time because each second represents 1 second per mineral, and that is 3 minerals per 15 drones. It's 3 seconds for 15 drones, sorry. It's 3 seconds for 15 drones, which is, 3 minerals times 15 drones. Because you have to multiply by, it's like 3 seconds times 15 drones. It's 45 minerals in total that have been lost here. Already. That's like almost the same fucking cost of the probe. And now, just because he clicks the mineral line, does not mean it's suddenly back to mining, because only the drones that are close right here will start mining. The other drones will go, oh, I gotta go here, I gotta go here, I gotta go here, I gotta go here. I gotta go back to this one. They have to still rotate across the mineral line, and it's gonna be like an extra 2 seconds again. Watch, when we're hit 123, most drones will be back to where they want to go, and maybe only 1 or 2 will be running around the mineral line still being like, where do I want to go? And he's not mining. He's wasting time. So just watch until, like, how long is it going to take for every drone to get back to where it wants to be on the mineral line? We still got drones rotating around. Drones rotating around still. Drones still rotating around. And now every drone is on a patch. 127. Finally, every drone is back to mining. If we did the math on every drone wasted time there, every single second of wasted time for every drone, it's 1 mineral per second. And if you calculated if you clicked each drone and went, how long did you waste? How long did you waste? How long did you waste? I guarantee this Zerg player probably wasted in the realm of like 90 to like 100, maybe like 105 minerals. Somewhere 90 to 105 between every drone's wasted minerals. It was 45 initially with the right off the bat. And then there was some drones wasted a total of like 9 seconds or 8 seconds. And some drones wasted like 5 seconds. I bet it's probably around 90. 90 sounds about fair. I bet it's probably around 90 minerals was wasted throughout all this whole process to try and kill a probe. And the probe didn't even die. If the probe did die, the probe still scouted everything. So who gives a shit? Like, the Protoss already knows what the Zerg is doing. But the Zerg is already behind in terms of resources for the game. So the Protoss didn't lose the scout. Like, the only thing the Zerg could do to be like, haha, gotcha, and then he was like, I'm going to do something weird now, is like, maybe he cancels the gas and goes for a third base. Or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, if he wanted to switch it up because the probe died. But otherwise, you guys got to realize, that was terrible by the Zerg, and so many players do this. That would have been still a bad trade, even if the probe died for the Zerg. The Zerg, here's the thing, the Zerg would have probably thought, that was a good trade for me. Even if you killed the probe, you'd be like, cool, I got it. Morale victory, but actually negative for your economy because the Protoss is mining minerals the whole time. No fucking weird movements. So you're actually just behind. So moral of the story is, don't ever do that. if you are going to try and kill the probe, pull like 4 drones off as it passes and like smack it. Don't pull 15. Like pull enough to like kill it in the vicinity where it is. Because what's the point of having like 10 drones trying to chase a drone, or sorry, 10 drones trying to chase a probe when only like 3 of them are hitting it? It's pointless. It's just a waste of your mining. Okay, now back to the Protoss. So that's just a concept that a lot of people fuck up, and I just wanted to kind of explain it. Maybe it makes some people understand better. Now, here's another thing I would say. Now, this map is easy to wall on. So the fact that you built your core on the other side of your ramp here is not a big deal, because this is easy. You're going to guaranteed always have 2 buildings on the corners here, and you'll just have 1 building either to the right of it, which you can't do because where the pylon is, or you'd have above it, which you can do because of where the pylon is. So obviously what you're going to do is you're going to put another gateway right there, and you'll move it up by 1 to make it go right there. So the gateway will have a doorway, gateway to gateway, and the core, and the top gate and the core will be connected together. So that's totally fine. But I would say in general, I think you should get in the habit. You should 100% get in the habit of building your core off of your first gateway and then filling in the wall off of your core to your wall. Like the last building should be the one where your core is, not the second building. And the reason why you should do that is because not every map is this easy with a ramp. Not every map has a ramp. Some maps have like a doorway, it's like kind of like that. It'd be like an open natural, or like, and sometimes it's at like a weird angle where like maybe there's like a bit of a cliff piece that goes there. If you wall off the building to like you gap one spot and then you wall the other building, it's really easy to finish the third building. The reason why this works like this is because not every wall is always a straight line, and sometimes, like I said, it's diagonal. But you can always guarantee you can get a 1 pixel gap off. Like, so if you overlap the gateway by 1 pixel and then move it by 1 up, and then suddenly now this is where your gateway is, that is a perfect spot to put your gateway. And it makes it really easy to line the wall up perfectly, so you don't have this like awkward where you accidentally built this building second, and maybe you built it 1 pixel too far to the side, and you're like, oh shit, well now I can only do a corner to corner block on my gateway. And now it's a really awkward wall for my zealot, because now suddenly 3 Zerglings can hit my zealot at once if Zerglings come over here. It's just better. It's easier to learn how to wall that way. If you see players ever wall like this, either they really just know the ins and outs of like where they want to put their buildings, which is totally realistic if you're watching like a pro gamer or a streamer, if they've done it 1,000 times. But if you ever fuck your walls up, definitely become that guy that overlaps 1 gateway pixel and then like lift it by 1, so you can always perfect your wall. I highly recommend it. I think this is really a bad habit to develop for yourself if you always wall like that. Okay, so you're following up another scout with your probe again. This is good shit. I love it. We'll talk about what you see in a second. Your build, though, is looking good. Everything looks great. I would say this probe, the only thing about this probe is I think maybe you left your rally point on your Nexus or your natural for a little bit longer than 1 probe. Or no, did you build the core and then you just started mining the mineral patch or something? You just hit like return cargo probably, and then it comes back. Just make sure this probe goes to mine this gas. Because again, gas is pretty important. And if you have 1 probe not mining gas and instead it long distance mine minerals, as what the priority for that thing is. Like it should be, like that probe could have been mining this gas, for instance, the whole time. And then you actually built this gas and built this pylon and then saturated the gas, and you missed probably like 2 rounds of turn-ins of gas from the probe that you could have otherwise made. And if we're talking about how your gas was built like a tiny bit late, where you missed like 48 gas as well, you're already maybe like 12 gas, 16 gas behind from those 2 things. And now look at this gas. You have 1 probe on it as it finishes, and this probe could be on it too. And it could go, like the second this probe pops out, the other probe could go inside. But now this probe is just mining minerals still. So waste of time on your gas. You should be on 3 out of 3 the whole time. You're missing. I would literally say with your gas, the way you've kind of operated it, you have now yourself probably missed out on like 32 gas. And 32 gas is a pretty big fucking deal if you're going to do something like get your tech faster. If you're going to make a stalker and a core, or a stalker and a warp gate, and then also get your tech. Like, it's pretty fucking important to have your early gas as Protoss. So you definitely want to make sure you don't fuck that up. Like, this is terrible. Don't ever long distance mine your minerals like that. Like, I wouldn't care if you do that once you're fully saturated of 22 probes on the main. Then like this probe in the production that's now rallied here, that's totally fine. But like, how long are you gonna leave 2 out of 3 on this gas? Because you rallied it. Okay, now you put it back. Like, that probe alone probably missed like 20 gas or like 24 gas just by itself. That probe alone. The amount of time that it wasn't there for. So that's huge. Okay. So your wall is fucked up, just so you know. This wall is actually fucked, in my opinion. Like, this is exactly why I want you to do what I said a second ago. Because if you notice, here's why it's fucked up. A lot of people are not going to understand, like, wait, what do you mean, ViBE? How is the wall fucked up? This gateway should actually be 1 pixel overlap with the core, 1 pixel overlap with the gateway. And here's the difference. There is no overlap with the core. This is a corner-to-corner block with the core now. And the only reason why you're able to actually seal the wall in is because you're exposing your shield battery. You're actually having a corner-to-corner block from the core to the gateway because you're overlapping the gateway by 2 pixels now. By it's like 2 grids, essentially. Like, it's like 3 by 3 grid. And you should have a 1 overlap grid on the core and a 1 overlap grid on the gateway. But now you have a 0 overlap grid on the core, and you have a 2 grid overlap on the gateway because you're building the gateway on top of the gateway. But that means you have a full wall. It does not. Like, think about it like this, okay? Let me show you in Paint or some shit. Watch this. So if you have 3 boxes, okay? You have a box, you have a box, and you have a box. That is what his wall looks like, okay? That is not what you want to have because this right here is bad. This is a corner-to-corner opening, which means more Zerglings can hit you. More Zerglings can hit you. That is bad. It's because the gateways are too overlapped. There's too much overlap going on there. What it should look like is it should look like this. Let me make this wider. It should look like this. Jesus, sorry. There's a gateway, or there's a core, or like whatever. There is a gateway right here with a 1 overlap grid, and then there is another gateway right there with a 1 overlap. That is what the wall should look like. Or Jesus, okay, that also would work. That also would work. But the way I was actually telling him to do it would be, it's actually this one right here, where this one actually connects with the wall he made himself. That, or too close. That is what his wall should look like. Does this make sense? There is no corner to corner there. There's overlap in the doorway. So if you drop the gateway down by 1 and to the right by another one, you're gonna. That's what happens in this wall right here. You don't want that. That's a bad wall. If instead you overlap the core by 1 right there, which is good, and then you have the overlap of the gateway and the gateway by 1, it leaves a doorway that a zealot can sit in right here, and only allow 1 Zergling at a time to hit right there. Only 1 Ling at a time can hit the zealot in this doorway if the zealot is sitting in the doorway right here. 1 Ling at a time, 1 Ling at a time, 1 Ling at a time, 1 Ling at a time. But if your zealot is sitting in this doorway over here, this one right there, Ling, Ling, okay, Ling, Ling, Ling can all hit that zealot. 3 fucking Lings can hit that zealot. This is why I tell people, line up your fucking walls off of your first building, overlap it by 1, and then build it. Like, overlap it by 1 grid spot. Like, this is the overlap I'm talking about. This green box I'm going to make here is the overlap. That is the overlap grid I'm talking about. There's 3 of them on a gateway, because a gateway is 3 by 3. Overlap by the first long line, and then space it by 1. Like, space it north to south by 1, but overlap east to west by 1 grid. Does that make... Like, the green box should be overlapped. I hope that makes sense. And if you build your wall that way, you'll have a good wall. The only reason why his wall, it makes sense, is because of this. Okay, so I'm going to delete all this shit I just wrote there a second ago. The only reason why his wall works is because he built a 4th building. He built a shield battery right there. That now the zealot can now stand right there in. Now that new black... Or I'll make a green box to make it easy. This green box now is going to be where the zealot stands. which means that big red box here, now the new green box, only one Zergling at a time can once again only hit the Zealot. But here's the problem. The core can be hit by melee units. And you know what that really is a problem with? The biggest problem of all? If banelings get made, your fucking battery will die. And if your battery dies, you're fucked. You not only will it punch a new doorway into your base that Zerglings can abuse because it's too large of a doorway, but on top of that, if your battery dies, you lose the ability to heal your units in the doorway, which is also really bad. You can't battery overcharge anything now because your fucking battery's dead. So don't build, like, your battery should be in a proper wall. It should be like right here, behind the, like, next to the pylon, behind the fucking wall entirely. So also, if Ravagers ever want to come close, they have to like walk to the edge of your wall to shoot it. They don't just get to shoot your battery from way the fuck back here, because it's at the edge of your doorway. It's like in your wall. You want Ravagers to have to commit deeper to die, so it like trades themselves to kill the battery if they go for that. It's just don't build. Basically the point is, guys, is don't build, like, we're gonna make a circle now. Don't build your wall like that. That is not a good wall, okay? Don't build your wall like that, all right? Instead, build your wall like this. Much better wall. Okay, do the green circled wall. It's much better. I hope that makes sense. A lot of people, again, they don't respect that rule enough, and they fuck their walls up all the time. If you just gap your wall like we talked about, suddenly walling as Protoss is like, wow, so much easier. Now I don't have these fucking weird corner to corner blocking walls that are just super exposed that I have to now add batteries to seal off. Okay, you're going council. You're going for a Twilight Council. I would say this. You have two options as Protoss, in my opinion. Okay. Number one is you do a timing. Based off the tech you gave yourself, doing a timing would make sense. But also, doing a timing in itself will just... You'll indirectly be scouting the Zerg while you do a timing, and if your timing doesn't kill them, you'll see what they're doing, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But the other option is you don't do a timing and you make a sentry. Now, if you're not going to do a timing, I think going council first is maybe not the best choice, but we'll see what you do with it. There are options. There are options you can do, but I don't like the fact that you're not making a sentry. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you definitely want to be able to scout with a hallucination and see what's going on the Zerg's base. And furthermore, having a sentry early in the game is really fucking nice if your opponent all-ins you. It's so important to have a fucking force field in your doorway. It changes everything. So I highly recommend you from now on start making a sentry. Okay, this looks like you're going to go Dark Templar. I feel like you're going to go DTs. Because you're not stopping probes anytime soon and you're going still... Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably going to take your gas now. You're going Blink. Okay, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan of your build. We'll talk about it in a minute. But I'm just going to throw this out there and say this right now. The only way this build works... The only way this build works is if you... Yeah, okay, so we're gonna disregard the one way, which is if you're just way better than your opponent, sure. If you're way better than your opponent... You can make it work however the fuck you want. But if we're going to talk about if your opponent's just as good as you are, the only way I see your build working right now is if you go for a 2-base, heavy aggressive attack. Like 7 gateways with Blink, and you just fucking go ham. And you try to like really whittle the Zerg down into a corner. And a great way to initiate this attack is with a Warp Prism immediately out of this gateway. Or sorry, out of the Robo. And then an Observer right away, right after, and you chrono boost the Robo to get these out really fast. And you load up 4 Stalkers in the Warp Prism, and you fly across the map with a Warp Prism with 4 Stalkers inside, with an Observer on move command following the Prism, and you kill creep so that your Blink timing will be easier to execute, because the Zerg has no fucking creep to initiate on you with. And he has no vision as well. You like not only kill his vision, but you kill his mobility. If you don't do that and you play defensive, I don't like this build. We'll talk about it. But that is the only way I see this like realistically working. Like you have to play that way. Blink is super weak if you don't open that way. If you just go council first into blink. Going blink as a secondary is fine, but going blink as a primary is fucking bad unless you pressure the Zerg. And if you take a third now, you should just go Robo or Stargate as your primary, and then blink as a secondary. It would just be so much more powerful. It looks like you're going to do third base defensive blink. Yeah, this is not good. So, just know, if you want to do third base, fast third base expand, I would highly recommend that you just go. I bet you'll probably enjoy this a lot more. You should just open up with blink as a third tech, and you should go like this instead. Because you haven't made a single thing out of this Robo, which makes me think you're probably going to make a Robo Bay and go into Colossus or something. But you should go like this. You could still go Blink Stalker Colossus as your composition that you're going to go for, which is fine. But you could go Stargate first, make a Void Ray. You could easily take your third. You could easily defend all-ins if you have Voids that can kill Banelings, Roaches, Ravagers, and Zerglings. The Void can't be killed there unless you let it get killed by Corrosive Bile, which is super easy to avoid. But you could also kill his scouts, and you could not only supply block him, possibly, like lower his Overlord's count, but you could also reduce his scouting potential, and you also might force reactions. You might make him make Hydras because he's like, oh god, Void Rays. You could literally open with Stargate, go into Void. Not a lot of them. We're talking like maybe make 2 Voids, and you're done. Just like 2 Voids. And then you could go into a Robo, into a Robo Bay with Colossus, and then you could go into a Council with Blink. So you could time your Council with Blink to be affecting your army around the same time that you're getting ready to get like +2 upgrades or something like that, like +2 weapons on Forge. Super easy. But if you go Blink as a primary, your army is so fucking weak defensively unless you overwhelm your opponent, and the only way you can overwhelm your opponent is through sheer amounts of gateway. So the fact that you're going Blink and then a third base does not pair well together. If you go Blink as a primary, this should be paired with like 7 gates. That would make sense because then you actually can overwhelm. But the way your build is going, this is where it makes sense, okay? If you go for a third base really fast as Protoss, you have to have something cost efficient that can make the difference. Cost efficiency could come from a Colossus, super cost efficient at just wiping units out. Cost efficiency could come from a Void Ray, super cost efficient at killing shit that cannot fight back. If you make a Disruptor, super cost efficient at blowing up a chunk of units. If you make Stalkers, if your opponent makes, like, let's say 8 Ravagers and like 40 Zerglings, how the fuck do you not die? Like, your third base would 100% die. You would never defend it. And if you ran away from your wall and you ran out in the open, you would lose the game. And if you just sacked your third and you went, okay, well, I'm going to defend my natural doorway, you would still possibly even die then. If you had there's just as many Ravagers as you have Stalker, which is very easy for Zerg to do, and then just a shitload of Zerglings, because the Zerg's not going for like third base greed. He's going for like mass all-in Ling Roach Ravager. And let's say his Corrosive Vials hit your Pylon and your battery, and then your gateway's go underpowered, your battery dies, and you're like, okay, well, fuck. This is now, all I have is like 6 Stalkers that are going to try and Blink Micro against 40 Zerglings and 6 Ravagers. Like, you're dead. You have no cost efficiency. Again, the only way that you would win that fight is if you had 20 Stalkers and he had 40 Lings and 6 Ravagers. Then suddenly you have enough Stalkers to like actually hold the line, and you can kill all the Lings and the Ravagers, and there's no third that you're exposing yourself with. You know what I mean? Like, that's how that should go if you open up Council as a priority. You have to pair this with either a Dark Shrine and like 4 gates or 3 gates to do pressure with DTs, or lots of gates for a 2-base timing that can pressure the Zerg, because 3-base Council opener is awful against Zerg. It's not bad against Terran. This would be okay against Terran, but it would be okay against Protoss. But against Zerg, the all-in, but here's the thing. It would still be bad against Terran if the Terran went for like 3 racks opener with like double tech lab reactor, and he just went mass marine broader stim pack and ran you over. You would still die. If the Protoss went for like a 2 base fucking charge lot all in, or a blink stalker all in, and you did this with a 3rd base, you would once again die. This build is very weak to all-ins, and I would say the chances of a Protoss player or a Terran player all-inning you are lower than a Zerg player, and it's also easier to read. If a Protoss player or a Terran player all-in you, it's super easy to read. It's much easier to read than when a Zerg player does it, because when a Zerg player does it, you might scout and go, oh, he's got a 3rd. But that doesn't mean he's macroing. I mean, he still might just fucking make mass units out of it, because it's also a 3rd base could also literally just be like an extra barracks for the Zerg player, just production for units. So this is a very risky tech choice opener for defensive play, is all I'm trying to say. It doesn't make any sense for defensive play. It's increasing your chances to lose. Also, quick tip for any Protoss players out there: do not touch your pylon and your battery together ever. And I know this wall is a little fucked up, which is why this is probably happening, because you just wanted to fit in the battery into the doorway because your doorway was too fucked up, as we talked about earlier. So you're trying to make a little hallway that went up further. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have a battery touching a pylon, it is so easy for Zerg to corrosive bile the center of the 2 of them and kill both of them, and then that fucks you so badly. So don't ever do that. Try not to do that. Try to always gap 1 pixel, like again, 1 grid between battery pylons, so a Zerg player can't abuse AoE, 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 and kill multiple buildings at the same time. What pylon trick? It's what I just said. Space your fucking pylons and batteries by 1 grid. If you stack them like that, a Zerg player can nuke the center and kill both. If you put the pylon there instead, I can't nuke both as Zerg. I have to choose one or the other. So it makes my corrosive vials less effective. And this is also why, going all the way back now, this is why I said Sentry second. It's good defensively for a force field, and you did not scout shit after the probe scouted the second. Like, so the probe went into his base and left, and then it went back into his base again a second time, and then it left again. And you did not see if his gas continued to mine past 100. So check this out. We'll go back. Watch this. Your probe gets out, and then it comes right back, right? Or this was... okay, there we go. It's coming back. Now watch. Look at the gas. He has mined. Like, if I told you how much gas has he mined, would you know? Did anyone who's listening to this right now, would you know how much gas he's mined already? I'll tell you the trick in a second. But I can tell you that this Zerg right now, off the top of my head, I would be like, this Zerg player has mined 44 gas. And it's not because I'm cheating and going up here. You guys be like, what, 44? It's 40, ViBE. What the fuck? No, it's 44 because the 4 is about to turn in right there. And the reason why I know this is because every gas inside StarCraft 2 starts, you can click it in the game, and it starts with 2250. So 2250, and now he's at 22.6. What's the difference there? It's 44. The big key number you want to look at as a Protoss player against the Zerg. Rich gas also have 2250, by the way. They just mine more per turn in. They mine 8 instead of 4. So the big key number you want to look at for a gas is, what is the Zerg going to do when the gas says remaining 2150? What is the Zerg going to do then? Is the Zerg going to leave 3 on? Is the Zerg going to take 2 drones off? Is the Zerg going to take 1 drone off? I'm going to let you know a secret and say this. If the Zerg leaves 3 drones on gas after they have 2150 in the gas mine remaining, get ready to be all in. That's a fucking big tell right there. Why is that? Because Zergling speed only costs 100 gas, and if this Zerg player is going to keep fully saturated mining that gas after he has access to link speed, the only thing in the game that would make sense that would not be all in would be an Overlord speed upgrade. If he goes for fast layer, it means he's going to do something tech related to you really fast, like a Nidus or like a really fast Spire or some shit like that. If he's going for no layer, it means he's going to make banelings or roaches and possibly ravagers really fast. Or it means he's going to go for a super fucking fast Evo Chamber upgrade that he could then all in you with like +1 melee or some shit like that. There's zero reason to keep mining gas with Zerg this early in the game. It just ruins your economy as Zerg, and it makes zero sense. There's zero reason why you would ever do that. Unless you want to all in. Because Zerg in general can take a third base because it's 100% mineral cost. They can make queens because they're 100% mineral cost. They can make overlords because they're 100% mineral cost. They can make drones and Zerglings because they're 100% mineral cost. They can make spines and spores if they need to because they're 100% mineral cost. All these things that develop the Zerg cost 0 gas. The only things that cost gas for Zerg are Banes, Roaches, and Ravagers. And all those units have in common? They're going to fucking all in you with that early if they make it. If they never stop mining gas and they make those units, if they actually don't just sit there with 500 gas in the bank and they want to use that gas right after Zergling speed, they're going to be making those units at a moment in time when your wall is like 3.5 minutes in. Okay? That's what that means. And 3.5 minutes in is super early in the game. You're not going to have your third base down by 3.5 minutes. You're going to be like having like 8 supply in total or like 6 army supply. And he'll be like, oh, he's showing up with a bunch of speedlings or something like that. So the fact that you left the base and now you don't come back again, or you do actually. Just kidding, you do. I didn't actually see you did this. So this is good. I'm glad you did this, but now check this out. Look at the gas. 2134. He still has 3 drones on gas. We just saw 1 enter and 2 are still, like, this one is currently bringing minerals or resources back. This one's coming back and another drone just went inside. There's still 3 drones on gas. This Zerg has over 100 gas and he still left 3 on. I just want you to know that this scout actually won you the game, but you didn't react to it properly. I would say priority number 1 would be get a fucking sentry. The second you could do it after your stalker. Stalker is a good priority first. I think stalker is really, really nice first. Because the reason why is a stalker can sit in your doorway and not die for a lot longer than your sentry could do. That same thing. Like if you make a sentry first and your sentry sitting in the doorway and like you have 6 random lings run across the map or like 4 lings run across the map and start smacking your sentry. If you don't force field that doorway, your sentry's going to die. Sentry's going to be like shooting bubbles at the Zerglings like, please die. Ah, shit, force field. Like it's a piece of crap. Sentries are awful at killing things. So Stalker's good first because it not only can kill the lings if the lings pressure you, but it can also kill an Overlord too if an Overlord decides to dive in your base. So you can also deny scouting. That's great. But Sentry second is super important, so you can get that super fast scout off really, really, really early. I would be scared if I were you at going, this guy's probably going to fucking all in me. I would feel very, very threatened right now if I were you. And again, here's the thing. This Zerg will not be threatening until 3:30 to 4 minutes. 3:30 if he's going to go for pure speedlings and that's it. He's probably, here's the crazy part. He is probably not going to go for pure speedlings anymore because he is still mining gas. Why the fuck would he make gas the whole time if he's going to just make nothing but that cost, if he's only going to make things that cost minerals? He already mined enough for speed and he's still going. You know what I mean? Like why the fuck would he do that if he's only going to make speedlings? Makes no sense. So probably going to be something that goes in addition with speedlings like roaches or banelings. And if the Zerg does that, 3:30 now is no longer probably the realistic timing. Now it's probably more towards 4 minutes. Because, and how do I know all these things? Because if you go for a standard build that is like a 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool, which is the first thing you scouted, right? You saw that, 16, 18, 17. It would look very standard. If you do that and the Zerg mines gas right away when the gas is done, and then they start speed right away when they have 100 gas, speed will finish right around 3:30. And the Zerg will not attack you with slow lings because slow lings are super garbage and they'll die super easy. So he'll probably attack you with speedlings. And 3:30 would be that moment where speed kicks in and you're getting ready to be attacked by speedlings. 4 minutes, though, is the excess 30 seconds of adding on the Roach Warren or the Bane Nest, and then also adding on some of those gas units. So like it's like a little bit more of a delayed Ling all in because it's being paired with Bane or Roach. So you actually had all the information you needed. Your scout was actually amazing. Your initial probe scout, I didn't see that third one you did, but fucking super good. You confirmed everything, and now you should double confirm it with a Sentry hallucination. And again, your follow-up tech choice, if you think you're going to get all in, should definitely not be a Twilight Council. As we talked about already, it should 100% be a Stargate. Stargate's the best, by the way. Or a Robo. Robo is, I would say if a Stargate is like a 10 out of 10 at defending all ins, a Robo is like an 8 out of 10. It's fucking close. It's still really good. There's only one all-in that a Robo does better at defending against than a Stargate does. And that is a proxy hatchery spinecrawler push. If you scouted the Zerg there, you're like, what the fuck? There's no gas at all? And he only has 2 bases? And he wasn't even spinning his larva? What the fuck is going on? And then you ran a probe up here and you were like, oh shit, there's a hatchery there. He's actually proxy hatching my base. If you go Robo first there, that's even better. Because proxy hatches, they have one thing that includes to them, and it's queens. If they have queens and spines, it's really hard for like a void ray to like get shit done sometimes. Your void, like you still could defend it with a void, but a Robo's a little bit better. I would say in that situation, a void ray would be like a 7 out or an 8 out of 10, and an immortal would be like a 10 out of 10. But if it's not proxy hatch, voids are 10 out of 10, and like a Robo is like 8 out of 10, and a council is like a fucking 2 out of 10. That shit is weak as hell at defending all ins. Because number 1, you probably won't even have the upgrade done by the time you get all in. And number 2, even if you did, the only way you would actually defend yourself again is if you had a lot of gates. And you did both that are negative, which is you didn't have a lot of gates, or you also went Twilight Council tech. So that's like a double negative there. So we'll speed it up again a little bit and go back to when this all went down. So again, like check this out. We'll like watch this for 1 sec too. Look at how your stalker finishes. You chrono boost it. Your stalker's done at 257. If you started a sentry, which you can right now, right away, which you should have. Yeah. Yo, Jamaican Benji, thank you so much, dude, for the 3-month resub.
Happy anniversary, ViBE.
Thank you for the 3 months, dude. thank you. And thank you as well, Gongoro, for the 29-month resub. Oh, yeah. P2020 just makes me think of the shittiest gun in Apex Legends. Besides Mozambique.
Wow, can't P2022 victory.
Yo, P2020? That gun sucks. Thank you so much for the 29 months, Gongoro. Thank you. But, so, basically, 257, your stalker finishes, and a sentry is a 26-second build time, right? So realistically, if we think about that, your sentry should be popping out at, what is that, 2:23? Sorry, 3:23. At 3 minutes and 23 seconds, your sentry should pop out. And then your sentry would have enough energy to scout your opponent, if it came to that, by probably like 20 seconds after that, so probably like 3:43, the sentry would have enough energy to like throw a Hallucinating Phoenix out there, if you still hadn't seen what was going on yet. So keep those numbers in mind, 3:23 and 3:43, all right? Now let's see what happens to your gateway for the next time being. And you're being distracted by Lings, and you're also making a Pylon. $3:23, your sentry could have popped out. You started a stalker pretty much at the same, like it was like 0.5 of a second before, but you pretty much started a stalker after you could have already had a sentry anyways. Like you did, you could have afforded a sentry easily. Fucking easily. So right now your sentry would be popping out of the gateway right this second, and your stalker would be starting just like it is. And then you would actually have a scout potential at 3:43. Hallucinated Phoenix could fly across the map and go scout the Zerg. And here's the crazier part too. Now that you have a shield battery, you could actually swap the stalker and the sentry and put the sentry in the doorway, and your stalker could go right over here and kill this overlord that I don't know if you saw it, But an Overlord just was poking your base, and you could, you know, try to go kill it. If he actually went into your base, you could, for free, kill that Overlord and not have the fear of losing your natural. Because again, right now is before, it's still before Banelings could hit you, because around 4 minutes is when you should expect that. Because he opened up standard. He went expansion, he didn't one base you. If it's one base, obviously it's a little bit different because it's not standard 18 or 16, 18, 17. It's now like 14, 14 or something like that. Which is much faster gas by like 40 seconds or something. It's fucking way faster. So instead of like 330 speed timing, it would be like a fucking 250 or like a 240 speed timing. Okay. And now, remember 343? This is right around the time when you'd have a Hallucinating Phoenix go like right here, and you just spawn it, like just send it across the map. And what would you see? Watch this. Let's just pretend I'm a Hallucinating Phoenix and I'm scouting. Okay? This is about how fast it would probably go across the map. Realistically. What would you see if this was happening? You would see a Zerg making a fuckload of lings and another gas, and still mining gas the whole time. This dude's mined 400 gas right now. 400 gas. So if I saw that and I were you and I was like, holy shit, 400 gas, and you also would have saw the bait nest. Second gas, 400 gas already mined, and he's making lings. This is very Baneling busty. And then all you have to do is not go take a third base right now until you have cost-efficient defense like Colossus or Voids. Yeah, that was, like I said before, remember how I was saying how this is a really weak answer because there's a good chance that your upgrade won't even be done in time before you get attacked. Oh, look at this. Your blink's not done for another 50 seconds and your stalkers are getting surrounded by Zerglings. Immortal also is not good here. Simply because like Immortal's okay. It's okay. It's okay here. Again, this is not platinum, guys. If this was platinum, I'd be like, yeah, play Beta Gym style. Do it. Fucking play that Beta Gym style. But if this was, for instance, if this was Immortal first, like Robo before Council, and there was no Council at all yet, there would be like 2 Immortals already done, maybe even a third one getting ready to pop out soon. And if there were like 2 Immortals with all those Stalkers and the Sentry, and you fought these Lings, you would have had a better chance to survive longer. And you who knows, maybe you would have killed, maybe you guys would have killed each other's armies. Something like that. But even then, it's still kind of questionable because, again, this is not Platinum League. This is now Diamond Plus. And what I would say in Diamond Plus is, I highly recommend if you're going to take a third base really fast, you do something cost efficient. Like, the easiest option would be just make fucking Stargate units. Like, what would this guy do against Void Rays? Like, what if 2 Voids were out here just killing Ling after Ling after Ling after Ling after Ling? Bane, Bane, Bane. What would he do? You know what he would do? He would either run away and not all-in you at all, which sucks fucking ass for the Zerg if he goes and if he invests into an all-in and then he just doesn't do it. That is so bad for Zerg. Or he just busts you right away. He goes, all right, fuck it, let's go. And let's say he busts you right into your doorway. And what if you get 1 decent force field? Or what if your Stalker absorbs a bunch of Banes and a bunch of Zerglings while your battery just heals through it? And you're totally fine. Like, you don't even care. You want him to bust into you because you have all those Stalkers still alive right now. They didn't just walk over here to die. And he couldn't do this to you repeatedly because, again, if he backed up and started making more Banes, your Void Ray would still just be going, just roasting fucking Zerglings the whole time. Also, you really need to cast Force Fields. You could still win this game from where you're in right now. The position you're in right now, you could still win. Here's what you could do. Force Field. Force Field. The second these Banelings get close, do that. And you know what would happen? Two things would happen. You would lock the Banelings out, which is great. And you would lock the Zerglings in, which is great. Because Zerglings would kill fucking nothing when a battery is here. They wouldn't kill a single thing. You would just go, oh, let's overcharge my battery. Force Field, Force Field. Lings are stuck. All Lings are going to die now. And his Banelings won't be able to engage until the next wave of Lings arrive. Because they're locked out. And you would reduce the amount of Lings he has by like more than half. Because look at this. This dude has 54 Lings right now. And if you locked all these Lings in with 2 Force Fields, you could get rid of 24 plus 2 more, 26. You could get rid of 26 of these Lings right away. And then all these other Lings that are like scattered all over the map that are like coming across again would have to like regroup. And what does that do? It buys you more time to like maybe make 2 more sentries and just do it again. But you didn't forecast a single Force Field there, so that was brutal. So now you're definitely dead, yeah. I mean, you still could have won that if you casted Force Fields. I didn't see you cast Force Fields the first time either when you hit your core. Like, that was terrible by the Zerg to hit your core like that. That was fucking really bad. He should have just went for the sentry because look what happens when your sentry died too. Remember how I talked about the battery? Watch the sentry and watch your battery. Doom, 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 doom. Your battery just dies with the sentry. You don't want that shit. That's why you need to make your wall not fucked up. You want that battery to be like back here or like over here. So it doesn't just die right away. Because if you had a battery overcharge right now and you force fielded, the Zerg would be fucked. Because you still can totally make units. You have 1,000 minerals and 500 gas. You could easily be making units and just like maintain. Like if you made like 2 sentries at a time out of these gates for like 3 rounds to go to 6 sentries in total, you could go every time he engages force field, force field, force field, force field, force field, force field. And by the time the 3rd wave of attack hits you, your first 2 sentries in that situation where like the first 2 that cast the first 2 force fields, they would be ready to cast force fields again. Force field lasts for like 15 seconds and you generate about 1 energy a second in this game. It actually lasts 11 seconds. But then you still have all that sentry energy. You start with 50 as well. So like you would just you could easily hold yourself like but doing that, because you got to realize too, you're also not casting force fields the second they drop. You're making another one. You're waiting for him to engage into a shitty spot and you trap him. So definitely got to use your force fields a lot more than you did there. Like you didn't use it at all. But yeah, I hope this makes sense. All the I feel like at this point we've kind of gone over everything, but it's just reiterating. You did a lot of things that fucked you over, like the whole tech route. The tech route with the 3rd, no cost efficient defense. That's a big problem. The delayed gas a little bit was a bit of a problem. The no reaction with scouting to the gas based off like no sentry was made and no follow-up scouts were done. That was a problem. If you fix all the things we talked about throughout this game, there's so many things to work on that will make you so much better, so much stronger in the early game. Your wall, straight up, that's a problem. Your wall fucking was painful this game for you, because whenever you get all in, it always feels harder to defend it all in properly when your wall's fucked up. It just makes it a nightmare. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. I would say definitely rewatch this again for all those points we talked about, because there's nothing else I can really say. There was a lot of points this game though that we already covered. So definitely go check it out again, rewatch if you want to learn, if you want to like recaps. But thank you very much. Shout out to the police for submitting this. Yo, police, good shit, dude. I appreciate it. I know it's you know, sometimes it's a bit hard to be under the microscope, as Neuro says, and everyone's judging you and shit like that. But good job, regardless. Like, it's not that hard to fix your play, honestly. The biggest thing I would say you need to improve on is micro sentry. Like, all the things, all of them are important. All of them are important, okay? But the biggest one that you can fix that I would say needs to definitely be like a glaring thing that needs to be fixed, use your sentries more. Like, use that energy on that sentry and actually abuse the Zerg with it. Because if you don't, that unit is, there's so much potential there for that unit to be good, and it's just, if it doesn't get used, that unit is a paperweight. It's like a piece of crap. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck to you in your own games. And yeah, I don't know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until the next time, peace. See you guys later.